I'm at me, I'm at out. I'm
Luke,
at me, I'm
mute your mic, you live.
When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark a talk and you will see. Conflict solver A to Z. World leaders master the art of self-defense just by talk. So people, make we talk. Hey, we're living in a world that on ourselves we must depend. Make we talk, people.
Good afternoon or good night, good night, good night, good night. Wherever listening from around the world in the Eastern Caribbean, this is the Make We Talk program with yours truly, Jeffrey Tavares. My guests are Luke George Cook, human rights activist and political commentator, and Herb Nelson Jr., crime and security consultant.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing tonight, Herb?
I'm doing well. I am glad to see Luke George Cook's name up there. Are you recovering, Luke, or are you been out there running 10 miles again, jogging around the New Kingston area?
Luke, are you there? Well, until Luke gets on, let us continue. This evening, we're going to speak about 23 illegal firearms seized in St. Elizabeth. And the Prime Minister says the level of crime and violence in Jamaica is linked to a cracking education system. Luke, welcome to the program, Sir Cook.
Good evening, Mr. Tavares. Herb, how are you doing?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Getting better, getting better.
Yeah, we worry about you up here, right?
I tell you the truth, Herb, there's a lot to be worried about, but I'm grateful that I have friends who are concerned about me. I tell you, the experience that I'm having now, if I have not learned anything, is to value the people that you have in your corner. Because Jamaica has become a place where you need the support from close friends and family. Um, you're talking about 27 guns, Jeffrey. We look at a
23,
returning
sorry. 23, not 27.
2023. You talk
23.
about a returning resident who murdered two women. You just look at some of the other killings that you see, a man throat being slashed in another part of the country. And as a Jamaican, you ask yourself when it becomes enough. But for Prime Minister Holness to speak to education and that there's a crack in it, I'm happy that he has had said something that I can agree with him on. I'm a little bit surprised that the crack still exists because he was the Minister of Education, and I thought that it would have been the best opportunity to fix it. But the truth of the matter, politicians on any given day are able to express those views when the truth of the matter is that they are not prepared to do anything about it. Because if you had a more educated population, Jeffrey Tavares, then the level of corruption that you're seeing and the level of dependency that you're seeing on politicians by the citizens of Jamaica would not exist. It means that we would probably have more fair and free elections because people would not be voting on party line, but
Yeah.
on policy line, right?
Yes.
Bluetooth connected.
So Nelson, what do you think is in the minds of these politicians? Every 5 years they talk that they can you can leave your doors open and all sort of thing, and at the end of the day, nothing like that has been done. Do
See,
you think that the
Jeffrey,
security of our country has gone to a place of no return?
we are deeply mired in not just transgressions on the part of and government ministers, but also different officials. Um, they talk about 6 members of parliament, but keep in mind, I think there were 28 officials that they said were involved in illicit gains as well. Now, if things are rotten at the head, right, then you have to ask yourself, how is it possible that the bottom is gonna react? Yeah. Can you continue talking because I've lost speed? You continue talking. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Politicians have been corrupt for decades, but not to this level that I'm seeing here when in this time people are hungry. About 2 million Jamaicans hit the poverty level annually, and they still say Jamaica is only 16 to 19% mired in poverty. Politicians, they show increased wealth, but they're not sharing the wealth. And this is the problem that is Jamaica. It's a very bad problem. People need to realize that you can't overcome a corrupt politician by letting them off the hook. You need to make them accountable. We hope to do this with our legal fund that uh, Mr. Wilfred Rattigan, myself, and Jeffrey and Luke George been supporting. And once you can make people accountable, then maybe you can produce some transparency. We don't see that happening easily. So we're planning to take some of these people to court to create that scenario where people will be made to produce some form of evidence as to their lack of accountability in the court system. And it's very hard thing to do in Jamaica because it's a very expensive venture, and we're hoping that Jamaicans who want to see justice served can ante up $100 if it's affordable or anything that they can afford for us to make these court cases happen and to stop the corruption. Corruption is costing us a lot more, and we have to figure out a way to put a stop to it. Now, it doesn't mean that that's the only thing we're going to concentrate on. There are other causes that need our attention, and we'll be putting money towards those causes. And I'm sure the two gentlemen that are on the program with me know of lots of worthy causes that we need to attack once we start getting some money in and we're able to turn our attention to the important things that matter to Jamaicans.
You know, I must apologize to my viewers and listeners. I don't know, something happened in this last feed. Anyway, we're back and we're gonna dive in what we're speaking about. Dive in what we're speaking about. I see we're in the St. Elizabeth Police. The St. Elizabeth Police. seized 30 seized the
Just keep
Elizabeth
talking.
police has seized 23 illegal guns as of Wednesday, August 23rd. This is the ninth. This is the ninth more. This is 9 more than 14 firearms was seized in 2022. Now tell me something now. Tell me something now. Isn't this wherein the Minister of National Security along with the Commissioner saying that crime is going down? And the gun seizure is going down also.
Jeffrey, don't listen to anything that government tells you. In a recent study, I have not examined it because you know that I'm struggling with some medical issues
Right.
at the moment, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But in the in my state of consciousness and unconsciousness, when I go in and out, I got up to reading something that Statin put out, that Jamaica has shown the lowest job rate in decades. And I know that that time I was conscious, but I had to ask myself, it- why would Statin put out that report? Because I mean, I Herb Nelson, I wouldn't need to call you to beg you $100 anymore because I'm supposed to be doing two jobs.
Yeah.
So, so it tells me that government is prepared to put out any amount of light unchallenged. And that when I saw it, I said, "My God, I'm sorry that Rattigan don't have the fun up because I'd like to." I, Luke George, would like to bring the case against Statin to say you don't do that. So if in his visit to the United States, and one of the things I tell you, it gets me here when people see us on a program like this making good trouble and think we just want to bring down the government. We're bringing down the government, and they don't realize that it's because we love Jamaica land so much that we will not allow any little despot to get away with anything, and that the majority of Jamaicans suffer for it. So majority of the time you're being fed the information to make the government who is in power looks good, because the truth cannot be revealed for the amount of money that they have collected. Somebody would have said, but what have they really done? And so in as Herb says, one of the things apart from the social intervention and the legal intervention that we need to take, we need to go back to the Jamaican people and say, you have to become advocates in your own spaces. You have to see this now, because if Herb Delsa Jr. gets that report, why should I be calling him? I should be sending him a thing from Jamaica. So the strategy of the Jamaica Labour Party was to ensure that the top end get taken care of, because long before the increase Herb Nelson Jr. of the politician, the judges got their increase. They were going around and making sure everybody feel good. But here's the part that we never really realized, that this is what they were doing. Right around that time, you know that there was going to be a upstaging of the salary increase. So you know what you do? You increase minimum wage, and you say more benefits must be paid to security guard. There's nothing that you give to the middle class, because you don't rule them out. Them comfortable, them happy in them own little space, not no bother them, as long as them can still live the lifestyle that they're living. But the truth of the matter, you have taken care of that subset as a way of saying we are the government of conscience. So when somebody comes and says, we are fighting and we're solving crime, you create a state of emergency, you put people out there, and you hear people are still dying just feet away from where the posts are. That's not a crime plan. A crime plan has to involve every Jamaican. And we, the people, by the people, have to agree that we will help to fight. So here's something that I support them on. If I have a camera and I can now send my feed into the Jamaica the Jamaica I watch, where the police can pick up things from my feed. That is one way. But at the end of the day, how are you going to bring down crime in areas where the criminals are basically the Robin Hoods of the community? Because the politicians enrich themselves but don't share. The criminals enrich themselves but give the people a little so that the people will continue to support them. So we have to teach people advocacy. Is this the Jamaica that you want? And this is what it's going to look like in 10 years. Your children may not be able to live here. And the truth of the matter, if you don't play your part, then we are going to go down the slippery road. Crime pays, but it only pays for a few. It will not benefit the country in the long run.
And when you look at it, you hear about crime in St. Elizabeth, a very peaceful parish. And the hierarchy of the police in St. Elizabeth is saying that they will not put up with it anymore. But the question that we need to ask, as a matter of fact, he said it will not be business as usual. But the question that we need to ask Herb Nelson Jr. and Luke George Cook, where is the money that is given to the Ministry of National Security to stem Jamaica's crime problem? Where is the money going? The police don't have proper cars, they don't have ballistic vests, and it goes on and on. Mr. Nelson, you're a part of an organization that can put paper towards, in the sense of saying to Congress, United States Congress, only need to stop the donor funds because the crime is going to work in Jamaica. What can you, or what can the diaspora, Mr. Nelson, do towards something like this, sir?
One of the key things is the U.S. Department of State and USAID makes that $50-60 million contribution towards fighting crime in Jamaica. They do, in fact, and I think I sent it out to some folks to show that USAID is addressing the violence in Jamaica by bringing in people who can help with that. They have a contract that they could just competed on that. The fact of the matter is they have eyes on the ground. They have people on the ground that can compile their own set of statistics. They don't have to depend on what is that? Statin is the agency. They don't have to depend on that. They have as a matter of fact, when they do these contracts, they do compile something to show there's return on investment. And so they don't even need us to be able to tell Congress that it is not working. That is the money is going up in smoke because things are getting worse. It's not getting better. And what you need is some of the people in Congress to ask the right questions. In other words, you ask, what is the impact of the funds spent between 1st of January of 2022 and the end of June, an 18-month period, 2023, and get a report that outlines everything that was paid for and what was the impact. Right now, if indeed the Ministry of National Security is just being fed money and they are completely ineffective. It shows up especially when you raid a certain area and there's a gentleman there who you wanted back in the 80s. His car is there. There's over 7 million Jamaican dollars there. There's over 4 million US dollars there. There's a whole bunch of drugs and different paraphernalia inside the house. So it's a stash house. It's a safe house. And it's in the constituency of the Minister of National Security. Now, instead of arresting the gentleman when they found him there,
Yeah.
you had DEA there, you had MOCA there, you had HSI, the U.S. Homeland Security Investigations there. The man and his car promptly disappeared. He's nowhere in the court system.
And you
So-
hear nothing. You hear nothing from the Minister of National Security. You hear nothing
No.
from the Commissioner of Police, nor the Deputy Commissioner of Police.
Not a thing.
Go ahead.
Nothing at all from the people who are appointed to lead. So again, if it's rotten at the top, then at the bottom, who are there to lead the people? Who are there to invigorate and motivate these people to want to do the right things, to want to do community policing and improve their communities? It shouldn't stop them if they have a heartfelt commitment to community like I know my good friend Luke George has. It shouldn't. But the fact is, that's where the money is. That's who's getting the money. The money is needed down below. If you invigorate the police stations and you allow them to participate in programs like Project Star, and you get them the funds that they need to help in the community, they can capture the minds of these youth in a more positive manner and help them to change the 40% graduation rate in high school. They can help maybe with food security issues in those communities, especially if you can start a feeding program with breakfast in the morning and lunch. Because if they can get 2 good meals a day, then our kids will start learning regardless of what community they come out of.
And you know, I want to ask Luke George this question. As a human rights activist and a community leader, everything in one, what do you think the people of Jamaica is saying right now on their verandas, in their kitchen, in their living rooms, of the seizures of guns and the high crime rate in our country? And you hear the Prime Minister is saying that the high level of crime and violence in Jamaica is caused by a crack in the education system in our country. And he's the one who came out and tell the people that he will let them sleep with the doors and window open.
Look here, election have consequences, Jeffrey. The Jamaican people have lived with a series of promises by both political party over the last 60 years since we had independence. It's time for the
61 years
Jamaica. 61 now. It's time Jamaican wake up. Political parties are not formed to be charity agents. In fact, if you really want to get rich, you can do so by saying how much you love the poor. The truth of the matter is that you have made the education system dysfunctional. And so you literally create criminals, then punish them after. A student can go through the education system from basic. And let us talk about early childhood so that you get a clearer picture that the Prime Minister knows what he's talking about. In fact, it's almost like he's mocking us because, again, he was the minister. And this did not happen. This did not happen overnight. It wasn't a wow factor that happened overnight. At the basic school level, the the interaction between pupil and teacher, the basic school teachers are required to have a level 3 certificate that is given through Heart and some other learning institutions. And basically, they are expected to create a lesson plan to get the children to begin that first foundation in the education level. Now, you and I and Herb Nelson and your guests would think that at that level is where you would put the greatest of resources so that the children are stimulated in the right way. Now, a child can go through the 4 stages of basic school because they go there at 3 plus and they leave there just at 6 to go into primary school. You know the person can't read, you know the person can't write, but they are matriculating through the school system. And by the time them reach 6th grade, you give them this horrible exam. We used to call it common entrance. Maybe Earl used to call, Earl would know that, and you, Jeffrey, should remember. We call it common entrance. Now
Oh
it
yeah.
has changed 2 times. It changed from something till it is now PEP. And you test children in mental ability, arithmetic, English, and so forth. You look at a school now like Holy Trinity Secondary, where it is reported that 75% of students in the high school cannot read at a grade 1 level.
Mm.
Then you tell me, Herb Nelson, if me know say me not functioning at this, and a man see me a go down the road and give me a gun and say, you want to make a piece of food? We're talking in the language now. Well, we're talking in the vernacular. Want to make a piece of food? Go joke down Herb. See him there. Him have money. You can't read and write in a Jeffrey. You
Mm.
know, so when you leave school, you not have no 5 or 6 XE. If you go say you go sit down in a university and go do course, get 1 degree and you get the basic level entry salary for you. I want $80,000. When them add something to it, you might go on with a 130. You don't have anything to aspire to. And so you have one microcare center in all of this that does assessment. Now, I can be on the microcare center list and finish secondary school and never get assessed. So I don't know what my learning difficulties are. And if this was a country that believe in their people, I believe that a core part of your curriculum and the program of delivery by the state agency called the Ministry of Education is to make more teachers as into assessors by training a certain section of your teaching population to carry out these assessments and then to group students based on their capability, not to frustrate them, because them can't even pass the hard level entry test when them leave high school for go learn a skill. And so
Mm.
you also need to change that so that once you have grouped them, that student is now barred from doing the 13 fundamental subjects, but you're only required to do your maths, English, your history and social study, and your a skill subject that you will be able to master based on the psychometric testing that you would carry out. If you don't, Jeffrey, we are turning out ill-equipped Jamaicans who cannot function and who will always be at the disadvantage of a political system that capitalize on that level of ignorance. A lot of Jamaicans just can't function. If them for use the ATM machine, you're in there, big man, you can't come show me how to use this.
And that is how, and that is why they get scam and money thieving away from them, stolen away from
Exactly,
them.
exactly. So if you continue after 61 years, Herb Nelson,
Yeah.
in that same vein, Jeffrey, by frustrating the learner who is asking themselves, why me they and me can't read and write? Why Herb Nelson Bright and me don't? It is easier for you now to recruit that youth like Leeboy Malvo, who said to Mohammed, who said to Leeboy Malvo, look here, man. Me I bring you come here so for your met life, you know. But this is what you're required to do. Now, when you come from absolute and adverse poverty, and somebody has show you any sort of light at the end of the tunnel, it's easier for you to believe. So me believe in 61 years, you still train them, you still not train them, but you will kill them. And that is why you're going to find 23 years or today, you're going to find 24. And something that you must understand, you know, Jeffrey Tavares, guns in Jamaica, illegal guns in Jamaica, Herb Nelson, is a business. It's the only time PMP and JLP will come together, because if me want to bring a war down to, for instance, down Norwood, down a Montego Bay, and I need to increase my gun power, I will call a man in Arnett Garden and say to him, say, rent me some gun and rent me some ammunition. And I can also say, rent me some foot soldier. Because when certain killings are going to be done, Herb Nelson, it's not the local person who is going to carry out the killing. It's the man who you rent now as the assassin. And say, you see the man up there, so him name Jeffrey Tavares. Me I give one 30 or a $45,000 upon him head. Go lick him down. And anything you say with him, lick them down to. Leave no trace of what is going on. So as a result of the unmet needs of the government that has been in power for 61 years, that have kept the people of Jamaica impoverished, and yet still Stockholm syndrome now step in, Herb Nelson, because I don't care how we, since them program, you know, Jeffrey, people start rethink it, and I say, true, them really not care about us. When me hear people now up on the road, I say, oh, the Prime Minister has a holding company in St. Lucia, and that they saw them do them wrongdoing. And people are talking about it with vim, vitality, and vigor. And I say, oh, we can't get to find out where this company is. Now, it is alleged that he does have one. Let me say that, because me don't want him come after me like I'm going after Ricardo James. You know? It is alleged.
Zara Burton.
Yeah, it is alleged. So you have to ask yourself, Herb, if it had not been for people like you and Jeffrey and the Rattigan and the others out there burning the light and keeping the fire burning now, for us to see that, look, these people did not come to work on behalf of the Jamaican people. Them going dirt poor like dirt poor and come out rich. And yet still, Herb Nelson, that's the double standard now for that young man who reaches 11th grade, who cannot read and write. And when him said, then if them can't thief, what is preventing me from doing it? And remember, there was a dark part of the history that has continued, where political parties would recruit strong-armed men to carry out atrocity in order to win election. So part and parcel of the political development of Jamaica is by pitching poor people against each other. Now, some of them people, they outgrow the politician and run them way because their empire has gotten so big. But here what happened to here what happened now, Jeffrey and Herb. Them now get community people nothing, you know. Cause them no want to get poor again. Them tell you that point blank. We can't love the people. And so they exploit the people. Almost every 15-year-old girl now in high school that can read, they're back road. If you go a back road, it has become so, it has become unthinkable, Herb Nelson, that you're walking up Ripon Road at this time of night, and every girl that is out there is stark bar naked. Nothing on. Beer as you dare. And government wanted to put taxation on prostitution. Now, all you could have ever imagine that you can have them the kind of discussion there. You have made the people suffer as a result of a failure in your education system, as a result of a crack. But he speaks to the crack, Jeffrey. But did he say how it can be fixed? And
No.
how it can be fixed is that you're going to put your brightest and best at the basic school level. You're going to put assessors in there to assess the learning style and challenges of the children. So by the time that they matriculate from basic to primary to go to high, they are not, we now have to call them
Yes.
functionary literate people, but they should have a solid foundation in which they can become more productive citizens.
Yes. So Nelson, you want to pick up from where Luke dropped off? Stop there, because you're more learned in a sense of what is going on within the security system. Pick up from where Luke left off.
You see, if the government is trying a policy of not suppressing certain communities,
Mhm.
to allow them to arm themselves, to allow them to sell whatever they want to sell, to allow them to do the things that basically violates every facet of law, right? And in doing so, concentrate only on those who have exceeded some maximum limits, imaginable limits that society has placed on them. Well, when you hand a young man a $3,000 US dollar weapon and he can buy shoes, right? That's a deliberate act against, you could call it terrorism. You're supporting terrorism. You're promoting terrorism. Because he's going to terrorize somebody or some community around your neighborhood or, Luke's neighborhood with that weapon, right? But what was his real mission? Was his mission to terrorize the community, or is that just him flexing his muscles? Who did you want him to kill? Who did you want him to get rid of? Right? We have to stop fooling ourselves that Jamaican politicians are not the head of organized crime groups. Because if they can think it and they can issue those weapons or know of people issuing those weapons, then they are equally responsible for the crimes being committed.
Mhm.
And I rue the day that we're gonna see some of these crime bosses, whether it's politicians or private sector, get their handcuffs slapped on them and they're going to jail and they don't get out until they have served at least 10 years hard labor. I don't know if I'll ever see that. Maybe
But
Luke
but
might.
You're older than I.
but
You're
but
older than
but
I,
but
George.
but look, imagine you create something called the integrity commission, herb. The commission says, well, we have in our view 6 politicians that
Luke, I
have,
didn't want to go down. Luke, hold on a minute for me, Luke. I didn't want to go down that road tonight, because anyway, continue
well,
saying it.
me start go down there because what herb has
Mhm.
said,
Yes.
if people must get it in a them head, Jeffrey. The integrity commission is 2 entity that was merged, and Greg Christie was head of the contractor
Contractors
general,
Union. Yeah.
Right.
and when he was head of contractor general, all of the people them did not uncomfortable with Christie. We hear say Christie a madman. We hear say him a labor right. We hear say my PMP when it suits some people, but Christy usually say, "Una for bring me the evidence," and he will call it out. Most of the time, by the time Christy move for prosecution of the individual, you just slip you just slip into something else. You create a smoke screen. By the time Christopher go back to it, you start to say, "No man, Herb Nelson hands are clean and da da da. The contractor general is out of control. He's a loose cannon." Boom. Christy get fed up and say, "Boy, may I leave?" Jamaican people not Black Road and say, "Give him Mr. Christy. Don't give us Barabbas, give us Mr. Christy." Now him have 6 politicians and him not name them yet, you know. Our minister that we are paying, constitution lady and reform, and have the legal ministry under her portfolio, wants to put a gag order. You can't have this investigative body with so much power, she says. They're becoming too powerful. And so they're interfering with our VIPs, and that we can't have that. So until some of these things are left to a referendum by a section of the Jamaican people, where we must encourage people to go vote, and we must say, okay, the office of the Integrity Commission must be given free will, as the Jamaican people have employed them to investigate matters without fear or favor to anyone, and they must not be, you must have politicians who can now create a gag order because you have one political group having a large seat in the parliament that makes it almost impossible for them not to pass legislation to have these things done. Why would you want to create a gag order if these people are innocent? A man is innocent until proven guilty. So, by and large, again, Herb, it feeds into the double standard. Why, when you have illiterate people who holds a gun and that gun now automatically give him power, because part of that, Herb, remember say he might not be able to buy a pair of shoes. But imagine at the first Browning I go look upon him because all of a sudden he's no longer invisible. The gun has given him a certain amount of power. And that is directly, Jeffrey, when we fail to give the Jamaican people the hope and to inspire them to believe that every Jamaican have the possibility to do something. And I'll tell you, I'll end with this. There was a guy recently that we helped. Can't read and write, but him passed through the system, was a part of a number of gangs. And a man, he made himself an apprentice to a shoemaker, and he makes shoes. And the fact that he's creating something that he can do, and we supported him very recently with some cheese and some material, and now he's out there selling it, and he has become a father himself, you know, has inspired him. There was a light that came on in his eyes that just, I mean, you couldn't put darkness before him anymore. And now he's out there advocating for other young men to put down the gun and go look something for them, because finally somebody came as a guiding light to him and said, "You don't have to do this." And you know what I'm saying to myself, Father, every day, me have to watch me head back in the car. You see, when me make the shoes, them, I might be able mother for go sell them, because man still can't go certain place, because nobody never had show me nothing from earlier. And now that me that really even want to step out there, go show people how skillful I am. I can't do it because me step with certain people, me make certain step, and man still have a death wish on him, man head back. And that is the failure of government and successful government, if they continue this practice of just seeking state power, getting rich, and just not making life better for the people who they are supposed to be serving.
Let me ask Mr. Nelson this question here. If you were called, Mr. Nelson, by the Jamaican government to advise them on the security of the nation, what advice would you give to the Minister of Security, who is also the Deputy Minister of Defense, based on what is going on now, where
Deputy Prime Minister as well.
and Deputy Prime Minister, where there are certain there's certain parish you never hear about any crime, and I speak about St. Elizabeth. Now the crime spots are hot all over the country. Isn't this a clear example, in your opinion, Mr. Nelson, that what the government is doing is not working to solve Jamaica's crime pandemic?
It's more than obvious, Jeffrey, that the lack of planning did not prevent any preparation in any of these parishes to be able to contain criminals in the parish, right? I've always said that if you cannot identify who these criminals are and track and trace them across the island, that they will go wherever they want and do whatever they want, however they want, right? And this is what's going on. If you're going to set up ZOSO or SOE, as it was being misused all along, and you don't set up a containment system driven by intelligence, in other words, give us the information of where these people are,
Mm-hmm.
and in addition to the reward that Crime Stoppers will give you, the government will double it. If you have something like that, when you go into these areas, instead of scattering these people into another community that cannot withstand them, in other words, they don't have the power to overwhelm them if they came into that community, and nobody's reporting on them, because it's possible they might be bringing money into the community and spreading that money around. It could be that they're responsible for the underground economies in certain communities, right? We said that, and it might sound funny, but a lot of communities, the cartels in Medellin, in Colombia, it's one of the most well-built, sophisticated cities you have in the Western Hemisphere. But it's drug money went into that place and make it look so good.
Mm-hmm.
But rumor control, as you know, has it, there's drug money going into some communities for high-rise buildings in Jamaica. But the bottom line is, again, people at the top are enjoying a certain amount of wealth because they're cheating the system. They're guilty of malfeasance, which in itself is a crime, right? That means they're doing evil things while in office, using the office for cover. So we need to, as a people, decide that we're not going to take this anymore. We're not going to have them take our money out of SSL. We're not going to have them take our kids and force them into trafficking, into going up through Costa Rica and other Latin American countries to get into Mexico and then into the United States, right? We're not going to subject them to the things that the other countries have been going through for decades. And we're just now finding out that our own people have to leave home to look for success. It shouldn't be happening, right? So we need to correct those things as a people. There's no one person going to sit up there and ignore the problem. But if the whole community is pressing Dr. Chang on the problem of enforcement, on the problem of coming out and speaking to the communities and say, how are you going to handle this problem? In other words, come up with a crime plan for each community, which they all are not the same, obviously,
And
you know. But they
and
have to go out there, study the issue, and come up with a plan. And then
mhm,
you begin to formulate. Since he's been out there, I must say, the deputy superintendent of police, Minto, seemed
yes,
to have been having a string of luck in enforcing the law in St. Elizabeth and finding these weapons. Right? This young man is also a trained attorney. He could have been out there trying cases in court and making a lot more money
than what he's making.
than what he's making. But again, it's a commitment to law, a commitment to community, and people out there working their tails off to make life better for our people, right? And
Before
to
we go,
bring down the so-called big man and the
before we go any,
shenanigans the big man bring to the community.
yes, before we go any further, Mr. Nelson and Mr. Cook, I see an item of news coming across the wire here. The president of the Transport Operators Development Sustainable Services TADS, Edgerton Newman, is warning of chaos at the start of the new school term in September if the government fail to supply the fees of the JUTC. What more fees JUTC want? Anyway, let's not get into that part. But they are going to suspend their service, actually, or what they're saying, for the start of the new school term. You see, from all different angles, you have our children facing problems. And that is why the level of learning is going down. Am I correct, Luke George, or am I talking nonsense here?
No, and again, I tell you that that is the truth. Because again, as I said, if you force your people to suffer under adverse poverty, then you also force them to look at alternative solution. As Herb was talking, it came to my mind that look at how many persons have found thousands of dollars to my under the US border program, crossing program. And interestingly, for most of the males that are coming across, they are using the tagline, we're homosexual and we're fleeing to face homosexual prosecution. That is the tagline that they're using.
Mhm.
People are saying by any means necessary, I need to get out of this place because it doesn't inspire me. I'm not hopeful. These are people sometimes who have gone to some level of training with the hope that them can get on one of these international farm work program. People have gone through the painstake of paying people within government sector to just get a ticket. They just want the opportunity to go somewhere else where making money from flipping burger will give them the opportunity to feel as if they are a Jamaican. Isn't it ironic in 2023 that everything in Jamaica is now quoted in US dollars? So how do you want to live in a country that our dollar is almost 156 to 1 US? And the Jamaicans are basically, if you want to buy a house, them quote it in a US. If you are transacting
Look,
any
Luke, I know you're making a point, but you know, I'm trying to figure out something here. You're touching a very important point that everything is quoted in US currency. Maybe I'm daft in what I'm going to say, but if we have the lowest employment in history and the economy is growing according to the Prime Minister tell the members of the Jamaican diaspora in New York a couple of days ago.
you mean
Something that,
the Jamaican sellout? Because everybody
yes,
wanted a photo up with the Prime Minister. Lie, no, Jeffrey. That is part of the lie why people don't believe in the diaspora. Because they are supposed to be our greatest advocate because they are far away from the persecution and the extra or the contract killing. And yet still, them flock the room. And when you look on the photos that were coming out, you saw that everybody wanted to take a picture with the Jamaican Prime Minister. And then tomorrow they go to the we ask for sacrificing our blood, sweat, and tears. Instead of everybody just basically getting up and walking out of the room and sending a strong message that we're not happy. So, in one sense, we here at home, we are moving as if we are spineless jellyfish. And then in the other sense, the diaspora people, them are just a set of because in one, them say them
Hold
not
on,
happy
Luke.
without
Hold on there, Luke. You lost it there. A set of what?
hypocrites, a crossbreed between a hypocrite and a diplomat. Them want the photo op, them want to say them take picture with the Jamaican Prime Minister, but you're doing it at the expense of saying, I am a popular Prime Minister because breaking news is not Tavares, is not met with that news. Breaking news, stuff foreign in New York yesterday, and the swell of support by Jamaicans abroad. It was, and then you ask yourself the question: why were you there? Why were you there? Just to ask the question and then go get your 5 minutes picture without saying that Mr. Prime Minister, we fear for come back to Jamaica because the security system is in a mess. The health system is in a mess. The education system in a mess. The economy in a mess. The environmental system, it is in a mess. And you, young, bright, astute Prime Minister, every time you open your mouth, you're increasing wages for high court judges. And politicians must get this. And so they said, oh, like Donald Trump, I'm not going to take the raise. I'm so rich. I'm not going to take the raise, man. Not going to take the raise. But the truth of the matter is unethical that you raised it. I was supposed to do a surgery at the university hospital. Beat as it may, it cost me $500,000. A little bit over $500,000. And you're going to tell me, say the machine for the surgery broke down. Me a wrench in a pain. I borrow the money. Me I go get the interest rate. I borrow some of the money because me never have $500,000.
We're losing you, Luke.
Yeah.
Luke, we're losing you. Are you there? What he was trying to say, though, is that the health sector in our country has gone to the dogs, where normal Jamaicans, or average Jamaicans, I should say, can hardly afford a surgery in Jamaica. $500,000 to do a surgery. And yet, the same government is telling the people, the both sides of the fence, that they have free healthcare and free education. And there you have it. A Jamaican who doesn't come from the affluence of society, of the people of the Vumba and the Vumba V, has to go through to have a surgery. Now forget about a surgery with a Luke George or a Jeffrey Tavares or a Herb Nelson Jr. What about a woman who lives in Trenchtown? Who wants to have a surgery done? Is the same thing going to ask her at the University of West Indies of $500,000? Luke, continue your conversation.
Yeah, so you tell me now, boy, Mr. Cook, even when the machine come up, you're 91 on it. So me I say, I want machine in the avenue. So I ask him, say, if me go over 20 go do it as a private patient, mark your $800,000 that for do it over 20. Him say 20 of them machines. So I said that number broke down. Him laugh and say him can't answer that. I said that can't broke down. Because you not go treat the 800 people them like how you treat the 550. And start to say Herb Nelson, this is one of the reasons why you find that those who are at the lower end, they're also trying to afford the opportunity of a 28 experience versus joining the line. Because when machine come up, them say 91 herb. But look, the amount of people I saw today in clinic, some of them even look like them reach the stage of death, so they might bump them up. So by the time them reach to me might be 170. God forbid. But I'm in pain. And I can no longer be taking antibiotics because the antibiotics have worked a number on me. And for the first time today, I tell the herb, I said to myself, when me hear the price, and by the way, it's estimated price I got today, not the actual. And let me tell you the date that I got for surgery, herb. November 28th.
What?
And I said, do I stay in pain? Him said, no, Mr. Cook, you have the option. You can go private. Now, if me a ball about on a 550, me I go find 800. Brethren, when me I go find it? And me said to him, say, me sorry, me never have a friend who is a scammer or a politician. Because maybe them that set me up on something. That is my response. And then it dawned on me. I heard a patient asking if anybody could buy her a soup because she didn't take her medication while we were sitting there at the university hospital. And I said to myself, my God, is this the country that I feel such great love for? You don't have a machine. And then I learned in the urology department that the machine is used for other departments as well. I'm asked myself, then and about 5 of them machines that only supposed to have bread. People can't come here and suffer, sit down and suffer. I take 2 pain medication just to go to sleep, just to not bear the pain. And imagine when you go to the bathroom, Herb Nelson, you see in your urine how frightening that is for you. Now my white cell count gone up, potassium low, and all that. Me can't hardly leave my house to go anywhere anymore. And I'm asking myself, at this at Jamaica.
And he's asking if this is the Jamaica
Right.
we're living in. And we must ask ourselves also, a machine is needed at the University of West Indies Hospital to do a urology procedure. And the government of Jamaica can find $5 billion to loan to Petrojam. And you hear nothing about the Andrew Wheatley court case. You hear nothing about the Royal Reed court case. And a machine is needed at the urology department at the University of West Indies. And you have to pay $500,000. Herb Nelson, what do you think Jamaica is coming to?
Well, if we're not able to make our population feel secure in their homes or secure in their health or education, right? We're a failing country. We're a failing state. I didn't say failed, but we're failing our people, right? Jamaica of all places, who's talking about doing medical tourism? To whose benefit is that going to be? Is that going to bring money in so all the Luke Georges and folks around Luke who can't afford the treatments will find it affordable? And Luke, one of the things I was talking about today was, what about the Cubans? Can they help?
Well, that is possible. Best solution they ever make, and I'm going to check it out because here it probably would be cheaper if I go Cuba go do this. Probably would, and I probably would have been treated much better because the truth of the matter is, that. About 5 people.
Look, I don't know what's going on. I think where you are in your house, the signal is dropping.
No, it's
So
not
you
my
need
house.
to
The rain is falling. We have dry weather.
oh.
No, we have dry weather internet. The rain a fall. So every time the lightning strike, goes.
Well, that's crazy. Who's
Right.
your provider? Who's your
Right.
provider, Luke?
So no. Lime man. You know say the lemon people them just it's taxation without no service. But the fact of the matter though, Jeffrey, I am an educated person. In the I have left the government service because I see too much and I just wasn't happy. I've gone into private practice and I've worked with NGOs largely since I've left. Some of them can't even pay. Some NGO owe me lots of money, others owe me, and them every day here. I'm gonna pay money. But the fact of the matter, I've worked with these communities from Nannyville, CLM in Montego Bay, me go upper St. Andrew go work in some of the I've worked in some of the most difficult community. And the truth of the matter is that you know what I'm gonna do? I want them I could have make an appeal to the Prime Minister for more money. Forget our money. Cause I'm like forgive people money now. And then him say, I follow you on YouTube, but maybe them go tell him say, my bunny out by your program.
Luke,
But the
Luke,
lo- the lo-
hold on there, Luke. Hold on. Let me say this to you tonight. They watch this program and other programs, If you appeal to him and he really get in contact with you, then I would say his heart is in the right place. But because a Jeffrey Tavares will speak about the Vumva and the Vumvavine,
I mean
they will not get in contact with you, Luke. So it leaves to us now to see what we can do to assist you.
so,
So the people
so
of
wait
the
the Jeffrey.
Vumvava
What
and
you
the
say? Me in
Vumvavine,
the cup
the people of the Vumvava and the Vumvavine, Luke George Cook, who watch this program, including the goodly gentleman who's the Prime Minister of Jamaica. If him get in contact with you, as I said before, they have a good heart. But I know they will not.
well look. Well, look, me not really expect him to get in touch with me. But what I'm basically saying, Herb Nelson, from all of the place I work, Jungle, Tivoli, there has been no effort with all of the social program. For instance, when part program came around, my one of my biggest criticism working at the Jamaica Social Investment Fund at the time was that you really shouldn't have a part program without engaging people at that level to ensure that at least head of household get a skill. When you read the documents that we put out, because you spoke to the fact that every community, Herb Nelson, has what is called a community profile.
No?
It has a community profile. I'm back. It has a community profile, and those community profile tells you the different things in the demography of that community. And I've always said that if you're going to do that, when you look at it, Herb, when you look at the head of household, is always single mothers. And I've oftentimes said we need to do something about this. We really need to do something about this. So I work with mentorship program with Betty and Blaine. What we couldn't find was enough mentors. Then the government says, okay, we're gonna do the national mentorship program. They started it up and all of a sudden it disappeared. But what we are not doing, Herb, is making sure that one of the things that I recommend is that we have an incident register. where when we see behavior patterns are emerging from youngsters, we start to note them. And then we start to work the intervention, whether through taking them from camps. I made a recommendation once that boys in Kingston that are likely to get in gang should go to boarding school in the country where they have structure, and that structure may help to curtail their behavior. People say that is a little bit too draconian. It takes away the rights and freedom. But the truth of the matter, Herb, sometimes you need to be taken away from the environment. I remember when Ronnie Tate, I don't know if you remember this, Herb and Jeffrey, Ronnie Tate had commissioned a study on which high school had produced the most dons. And JC came out
Yes.
on top. That I said, you see it?
Jeez. Yeah.
Yeah, JC came out on top. And Dark Paw went to JC.
JC.
And yet still he was aided by the then executive
So
director
hold on there now, Luke.
of
Luke,
the
hold on. Luke, hold on. JC have the most dons. And some of the most dons is in the parliament
when
of
they did
Jamaica.
it. But no, I call them the organized crime. Those people are Herb, them people, they are the Italian mafias. You are absolutely right. They will pay somebody to take you down. If they still maintain a system, if they want to keep intimidating the people, if them know where Herb Nelson Luke George Cook there, them send them there and they make sure say they are taking you down. But Jeffrey, you must have an incident report, and you must be able to use that incident report to see that this person is likely to go off the grid. And therefore, what you do, you create intervention for them to be able to do all of the necessary things as getting counseling, getting psychological evaluation to see where the state of mind is. And that requires a forward thinking government who do not want to continue on this trend. But it brings me to a vital point where you said earlier on, Jeffrey. Remember, say, in a Kingston and St. Andrew alone, there are 15 garrisons. 8 belongs to the PMP and 7 belong to the JLP. And that's Kingston and St. Andrew alone. And we have never done anything to change the trajectory of those community. What the government came up, what the government came up with, Herb Nelson, was to put the new police station at no man's land, and it's the piece of land that borders Arnett Garden and Denham Town to one section, because they feel that if them can hold the mother and father of crime, then they can change Jamaica. But what we are seeing through the creation of some people in the army, in the police force, is that they themselves are displaying behaviors that says they are more about arresting the small people and allowing the big man to go free.
Free. Yeah. But
And,
you know,
and
it's
go ahead,
you
Herb.
know that has been a trend for a very long time on every party that's been there, right? And the key thing to fixing that is having a decent prison. If our prisons were like those in the US, if they were cleaned up, look, if other prisons in Jamaica allowed people to go out and to play sports, have 3 square meals a day in a proper dining facility, if those prisons were impressive, and then those prisoners would be going through some form of rehabilitation and coming out better citizens. But the prisons are not like that. You'll be lucky
Not
to
like
go
that.
live from
I
the
admire the American system that nobody is above the law. And when you see what is happening in the case of former President Trump, about holding people accountable. But continue, Herb.
Yeah, well, the prisons here are made for people. The prisons here, they, people still complain regardless. But you have medium security and you have maximum security and you have supermax, right? Supermax,
But Herb,
you locked up
we we
24.
we 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 must answer. We must admit to the fact that the Jamaican prison system was made for slaves.
Well, we can go back in history and say,
And
Jeff,
poor people.
that's true. For the poor, and early time was slavery, and latter times poor people, right? But still, you have to put some rehabilitation sequences there in prison, so that the only thing the guys do in the prison is sleep. Otherwise, you sleep 6 to 8 hours, and then you move them out into a classroom or into some type of STEM type development areas where they can develop those skills that they'll need to survive on the outside when they get out, right? But if you don't do that, then you're gonna it's like a death sentence for a lot of these people that go off to jail, because they're not getting the types of training and development that they need to move forward in our society down in Jamaica, right? So you do need to have some additional things added to these prisons to make them more humane, to make them more of a development step up for these guys before they leave and leave the prison and head out into society once again. Or they're just going to be looking for ways to get back to a free meal and a place to sleep.
But
But you said that in a Herb. I was talking.
Go ahead, go ahead.
You said that, Herb. Two things that just came to me. I was talking to Dr. Veronica Salter recently,
Yeah.
and she's a psychologist, and she works in the prison. And she was saying to me, the amount of people that are there that have been charged for a crime that they are saying that they're innocent for is amazing. So they created a yoga program. And when somebody said to me, imagine a country in which a man can sit behind prison bar and call and order the execution of a Jamaican and think nothing of it. And that is facilitated through the greed of the people who are working in the prison, who are saying they are not being paid enough, Herb Nelson, that they will bring themselves down to that level to bring in the gun, not the gun, the phone, the ganja, the NEC. There was a video going around, Herb Nelson, of people celebrating Vibes Cartel birthday in prison with NEC. That you
Yeah,
go
I
to
heard
when you
that.
go to a dance, you pay almost $16,000 for a bottle of that, and they were in there, as as them say in Jamaica now, braffing, as to say they were free men who had will to go about and have such a gay time. And it's all because our people, our civil servants, who are always saying that they are overworked and underfunded, have now become a part of fueling the situation of crime. So a man can stay behind bars and send out a hit for me, right? Him just call a dog
God
out
forbid.
here, eh? God forbid,
God forbid.
you know. And, right? And this is part of the problem, that when you know that Jamaican Jeffrey, you must have respect for the law. turns here and says, then, oh man, in a prison phone. How do you answer Herb Nelson, honestly, if the people are supposed to be protecting and lawmakers are being the lawbreakers, and these people have links from the lowest level to the highest level of politician. Politician provides credit, politician provides money that is put on their meal card. And then now, when you say, okay, there is a crack in the education system that leads to crime, let us look at another crime, Herb. Why you thief you saying bold money? Is when is enough? Is when enough going to be enough for you? And when is Usain Bolt getting back that money? There are some who say Usain was a part of a scheme and him just get catch up in it, and he's the one that he has to take the fall for it. But when are we going to see Nigel Clark coming to the Jamaican people and saying, why this poor youth will come from Chilani, we put down this money for in retirement and for take care of parents in a Jamaica where we buy everything in US dollar, and sooner or later it is the US dollar is going to be the means of trade, or else you're not going to be able to afford of the rest of us. When the youth they're gonna get back his money, because there is no sense of justice in a Jeffrey right now in a people mind. You know what people are say? I bet I'm gonna call a gunman because I get quicker justice. The system of justice have men large most Jamaicans, because when Bruce Golden daughter, it is alleged, was robbed, is the underground where people them secure back the items that was taken from her. Solidifying in the minds of young youths, Herb, that are still trying to navigate them way through life, that the underground work faster than the police force.
This is a point I was making earlier tonight. What is the underground justice system or the underground economical system? It is more responsive to the needs of people, and that is allowed to succeed based on the fact that the legal system is too corrupt, and it shouldn't be like that, right? I hear you loud and clear. You know,
Yeah,
I see somebody in the chat room, Herb and Lou, said that it sounds like Jamaica is no better than Haiti. I see we're in also now.
to tell you the truth, Jeffrey.
Hold on there. A 10-member Kenyan delegation held talk with the Haitian government to try and get the East African country to lead a security force into Haiti to assist. And many Jamaicans, Herb Nelson and Luke George, is saying that Jamaica, as I always said, is knocking behind Haiti's back door. And people are saying we must stop saying it. But when you look at it, Herb Nelson, as a security analyst, when you look at these things, it begs to say the same thing. Jamaica is no better off than Haiti. Pretty soon, God forbid, is it that we're going to have gangs taking over the country? Is it that we're going to have the lawlessness taking over the country more than anything else, where Jamaicans don't have any say at their homes? Look at the firebomb of the people's houses in Gregory Park. In 21st century Jamaica, this should have never happened. This should have never happened. All because back in the days, this case been on trials and people fighting to get a vote and putting the guns in the young men and young women's hands just to get a vote. And now it's out of control and they can't do a damn thing about it. And this is
Well,
Jamaica. Go ahead,
we
Herb.
we lear- we learn from our elders, and our elders who are supposed to set the example have degraded the entire system. So, where are the young people learning from? Could be television, could be what they see happening here in the US, Canada, or the UK. They press the envelope, they press the fracture of some laws to see what they can get away with. Some of them get away scot free. But there are others who put themselves out there and they go to jail. But there's no rehabilitation. So when they come out of jail, they're more secure and more experienced in the things that they have to do to worsen the crime situation in the country. And so we can't, in the diaspora, keep condemning these folks for doing the things that they do. What we in the diaspora have to do is to force the hand of the government and the people who are collecting our funds and using the legal defense fund that we've developed to do the work that the DPP and the Integrity Commission cannot accomplish. We have to do it ourselves. And whatever we discover, we have to make public. We have to shine a light on these criminals, expose them, and make them know that you can run, but you can't hide. This is what it's come down to.
And,
Because
and, and, and that is why we need the legal fund that a Wilfred Rattigan, a Herb Nelson, and others are trying to get in place now to assist people. Go ahead, Herb.
it's almost there, and we hope that people overwhelmingly support it, because there's just so much work that we have that needs to be accomplished. Right? We don't see relief coming from the government. We don't see the government stepping up their game and changing things for the better for the population. Right? And we have too many situations that have gone sideways when it comes to the health of police officers, people like Luke, who have given their life to the people of Jamaica. We, we need more input, and we need to show success with the funds. Go
You
ahead.
know,
Yeah,
I see.
yeah.
Luke, I
I,
want to
I,
come
I
with you.
want to, Jeffrey.
Hold,
I
hold,
want to
hold a
say,
minute for me, Luke.
yeah,
Hold a
yeah.
minute
Go
for me,
ahead,
Luke.
Jeffrey.
Hold a minute for me. I see wearing. Listen to this. God help us. The Education Minister Favour Williams is rejecting claims that the best and brightest teachers are among those who are leaving Jamaica education system
Me
for
tell you,
better paying jobs overseas. Is this woman? I'm not disrespecting her,
no.
but sometimes I
But,
wonder
but me
if
tell you
Minister
already said
Williams.
don't believe anything what them want to say. Favell, Minister Favell Williams is like the woman who get beaten by the man tonight, put on the makeup and say she walk in the door. Just to not make the man look bad. Instead of saying what the absolute truth is. One of the things that we are noted for in this country, is cover up and and putting on lipstick on the pig. We're good for that. The reality is that the people who do these things and they are not called to an account, it is the majority of Jamaicans who are not at the level that they're at and enjoy the luxury that they have enjoyed. Favor do have to go to her and she got to the airport for a giant line. She gets into the official line. She is escorted through a certain passage. What they get you and I don't get. As I said, there was a time when one minister took a contingent of persons visiting from Canada for the farm work program to Port Royal, and spent over 600,000 on 10 people. They are basking in the abundance of the suffering of the Jamaican people. And look at it. When me hear you, Jeffrey, but you know what me don't want to say? There is truth to the fact that we are on the eve of becoming the next Haiti of the Caribbean, while we watch small Barbados just have taken to the sky. In fact, Barbados Prime Minister now has more testosterone than the other Caribbean, only to be met by Mitch, my guy in Vincent and Grenadines and
you mean Uncle Ralph?
yeah,
Yeah.
right. And Jamaica over and over. When you hear Mia Motley talks about global warming, not having the economy, what is going to happen if we have a major earthquake? And we have people raiding the 80 police station and where they have the guns, coming into our shore selling those guns, getting things to go back to Haiti and sell. People know about those things in Portland. The other day, the poor Asians who came here, we were happy to send them back home. Haiti has been underdeveloped for a particular reason. Remember, Haiti fought for their freedom.
But
Yeah.
Luke, and
Right.
Herb, how is it that our Prime Minister is lobbying for the Haitian people? And he knows the crisis that they're in. I know there's laws and regulation in our country, yes. But you have the heart to send back the Haitian people?
Because
What
talk
sort
is
of
cheap.
hypocrisy is
Talk
that?
is cheap. You get a money. You see, one of the things that I tell you is that we know how to butter up things to get the money, but it doesn't trickle down, because here's what is true. Your Jamaican people are fleeing in droves. Herb Nelson. Some of those trip, Herb, is $1 million between the two flights, or whether you're going to take ground transportation to another point. You have to pay at another point to stay into a hotel until you work out with your handler how you're going to cross. And from some of the horrors of the story that we have heard from people, I mean, you pay, sometimes you're on the bus and the police in Mexico take you off, and you have to pay your way through. And yet still, if the United States was as ungracious and as cruel as the Jamaican government to one of its CARICOM partners, imagine what would happen to our people who have now gone there in search for a better life to escape the atrocity that they are facing under this administration and previous administration. People borrow people money, and now there are people in the United States, and those people are here crying because them tell them say it's for something legitimate that we're going to do. One partner lady gave 2 hands of the partner to somebody, and the person has now gone to the United States, and she don't know how she's going to recoup, and she was brought to the police station on the when the other people say, oh, she defrauded them out of their money, and she's explaining, I didn't. I genuinely thought this person said they had a situation. I gave them 2 hands, 2 draw, one behind the other, and now I hear they're in the United States, and I don't know how I'm going to redeem this money. And it is as a result of the fact that you can go to the United States, probably you can't read diddly squat, you can go do little housekeeping work, you can go flip 2 burger, you hope to meet a man, get married, as a result of the fact that you know that in Jamaica, you will never be a homeowner you will not be able to buy food for your children because minimum wage is at $17,000, and we are supposed to say, hey, people, Ray, bro, God care for us. Give us, bro, God. When bro, God knows, say, one tin of dirty girl, Jeffrey, at $380. A
Don't
loaf of
speak.
bread is $600. A tin of milk is $400. And if you, God forbid, if you have to pay a rent, Herb Nelson, of $5,000 or $6,000, because you not pay light, because you thief it from JPS and you thief liquor water from NWC. Where is the dignity in that? What is it that I must be proud of as a citizen of Jamaica when me here says 75% Herb Nelson of student in high school cannot read at a grade 1 level?
Well, yeah, that's
And
unfortunate.
Fabel can come and say, well, she's one of the bossy slave that didn't take her overcoming with any great humility. Know the lady and like her. Know her and her husband very well and like her. But what me can't understand, what happened between the time when you leave private sector, going to government, make you turn liaritis. Why you have to tell lie? Because she's one of the few who did not have to go into politics. Because politics is poison ivory. They poison you, and as you small say, if you try to do any good in there, that you will get shafted.
What about the fact that it's the lowest unemployment ever, as they claim?
I don't
Yet
believe that,
still
Herb Nelson.
so many people can't feed themselves or their family. And they're still claiming that it's 16 to 19% poverty rate. That don't sound like 16 to 19% to me. You know, unless they're giving people a piece of land to where they can plant their food and reap it, and then be able to cook it or raise chickens or whatever it is they can on that piece of land. I don't know. I don't know how people are doing it.
How much a chicken now? How much a chicken? Herb,
Yeah.
what's the price of chicken?
Here,
350. No, I was asking Simone.
okay.
350 for a pound for chicken. But you know, Herb Nelson, me really wishing that they'd establish the fund. Do you know that? Do you know? Do you know? Do you know that last year to this year, we are supposed to be taking up census,
At the
and
cost of
nobody
$1 billion.
at the cost of 1 billion and more, because remember at one point they had to start they had to start to recruit more census worker, because do you know that Jeffrey Tavares, I've not seen one census taker,
Hmm.
and
And we're spending $1 billion.
every day I ask my mother, did any census taker come here? Did any census taker come here? No. No, realistically, Herb, this is the same stat who put out the job report. Then if you don't have proper census taking, how do you plan for the people, the Jamaican people, so that you can know where you're going to allocate the most amount of fund if you're not a part of the government talk shop that is producing the lie that we're having the lowest unemployment rate? Over, I can give you scores of resume. A young man that I sent for a job barely can read. The lady said, can I get a job in a papa? Because you will have to read some of the things. And he's one of many young people who you're seeing coming to you to ask you if you can use your link to get me a job. Right? Now, if you talk about the hotel industry, we're trying to get students from Hart Boys Town in Trenchtown, but them have to go find accommodation to live on the North Coast because the hotel not necessarily going to provide accommodation for them to take the volume of students that are coming out of the institution so that them can get a work in the hotel. So the truth of the matter, Jeffrey, don't listen to them. They are making noise. If you listen to the Andrew Holness led administration, if what they say, they are a good set of storytellers, that them for gonna do. Them for gonna write storybook. If what them say and you look at the reality, two different things. The Mary Atkins shelter downtown that is supposed to put up street people can only accommodate 20 people. While
And Desmond McKenzie said he spent $1 million to refurbish it.
no, Desmond McKenzie has built a transfer center and name it the Desmond McKenzie Transfer Center that looked like a five-star hotel that I question whether or not is not them using it to take them little sex toys. Because I look at the building and I wonder what goes on in there. I don't know if anybody is being served by the building. And Minister, I'm not afraid to say that. I wonder if you're not putting up like a sex shops around town. Because when you look at it, it is stately from the outside. I've never been inside. It is along that passage when you're passing to go down to King Street. It was an abandoned building that I said that he has done. And when you look at what he has done with the sidewalks and so, it's commendable. But look at the overpouring amount of people on the streets. People are getting evicted out of their home because them can't pay rent. When we are reporting that it is the lowest unemployment we have seen in Jamaica, parents are now in a foul disposition because back to school, me I tell you, Jeffrey, if we are serious about education, how come a student preparing for PEP is going to spend $50,000 in the bookshop? And if that mother has more than one children, which child gets sacrificed in the process? Stop believing the lies. Come and see it for yourself. All of the people on your program, Jamaicans who live there, come from community. Them can tell you. The ones overseas, them now have to come down. Call Auntie Mary, call the community village lawyer. The person who want to know that them go to them way to go look out for people. Ask them what's going on in the community. Yeah, you give the part program beneficiaries the $3,000 more to help with the back to school, and the $4,000 for a boy, and $3,800 that you give every 2 months for a girl.
But Luke, what can that do to assist anyone?
Well, you see, one of the things with poor people that they have learned to do, not to bite the hand that feed them. They look at politicians who gets a 200% increase. And so what they get for payday is an extra $3,000 on the standard benefit. You know what happened this morning, Jeffrey? As I was getting ready to go to the hospital, a group of police called me to ask me if I could assist them with their back to school thing, and I just said to them, this year I'm trying to do as much as I can, but I'm limited. I'm limited in what I can do, but most definitely I will not say no, because I know what's the value of going to school without school book. And I also can tell you what's the value when I got those school books, how it helped me. It was the only vehicle that would have provided me with an opportunity, since I didn't feel like I wanted to be a don. I didn't feel I wanted to be a politician. And I really wanted to do social work and help people out of poverty. It is what is probably going to endear me to somebody to go and say, lend me a money to help with my surgery, and they will feel that them can lend me because them know that I have some value that I can go and work
Mm.
and probably pay back a debt. But what of the Jamaican who the education system has failed? What of the young man now because he lives in Kingston 12, Kingston 13, Kingston 11, some part of Upper St. Andrew who lives in a crime-riddled area who every time he goes for a job, the address that he used preclude him from getting that job because he's seen for who he's not, but based on where he lives, that is how he's perceived. I remember a joke that was
Mm.
ran one time in a particular organization that I was, when somebody said, "Oh, no, for make a man from down a Arnett Yard and come in here when they not count so much money, and then afraid them go set up a loot." And I took offense. I took
Mm.
offense to the fact that I was being, and some people, you see, sometimes Jeffrey, people want to tell you them mind, them say a joke. No, run a joke with me. Cause
Mm.
you can't make me take my Kingston 12 off of my application. Don't run any joke with me. I will not be judged by you based on where I come from. I know where I started in life. I know I wasn't gonna steal to get ahead, but I know my potential and I'm working that potential. Government, Mr. Holness, you have failed. You should have an assessment center for children who are struggling to learn in Cornwall, Middlesex, and Surrey. You should be
Yes.
recruiting the retired teachers to teach smaller groups of people. And yes, we're losing our best and our brightest. One teacher did lose her house, Jeffrey. Me can tell you she lose her house. Young girl, leave teacher college, struggle, buy one little house and mortgage a kill her.
Mm.
And she left Ghana Cayman. She left Ghana Cayman. Um, my niece, the school that she got to, me can send you the text message. The grade two teacher said, I can't tell you the grade teacher because we have just got the news that several of our teachers are leaving. I was talking to a principal at Irish Gelly. I'm not afraid to say where I was. And the principal said, Mr. Cook, me can't deal with that with you right now, because right now the amount of people who are requesting recommendation who will not be coming back, I don't even know what I'm going to do. And with the
And the
new
minister, and the
and
Minister of Education, Minister Favour Williams, is telling the Jamaican people and the diaspora that there's no truth, that the best and brightest teachers in the education institution come September.
don't listen. You know, what me tell you. You see when them talk bright and them intelligent and them dress up, and we are to be blamed. We are to be blamed. Yesterday, we educated people like me and you. Where did I take picture yesterday with the Prime Minister? You are just as complicit and wicked as he is. I will never stay in a room quiet with the Prime Minister. If him come in that room here right now, I would be all over him. How can you allow your people to go to KPH where cockroach are crawling on them, where the machines does not work? And you, Andrew Holness, that is standing on the back and in the neck of the poor. If anything happened to you, we fly you to Columbia Hospital in the world. You should be ashamed of yourself. How are you sending back teachers into tormented classroom this September and children who are buying books, although you say they must buy the wicked school, them still up at the pitting them with the books. How you say part program pitting must pay, and there are institutions who are saying, then if you don't pay the auxiliary fee, how the institution run?
Mm.
And we are buying into these lies. Every time here, we send the diaspora send how much money to government. In COVID-19, the Mr. Mears and Alicia, the other council general, sent 700 or 7,000, if not 700,000 tablet to Jamaica. I don't know one pitney we get one. So where them go? And yet still children will be lining up this weekend to get a school bag that mark Babsy Grange, Juliet Holness on it. Lest you forget who butter your bread. You will never forget that we too hold you strong. Bun and cheese that get out now, them face the pan it. This is the level of degradation that we have reached. So if me dear go talk about Juliet, she will remind me, remember the bag where you go to school with that make you? And we have sold our children for a pot of porridge. So for him to talk about a crack when he took his children out of the formal education system and homeschool them, that they will continue the role of being the Ramanans, is a slap in the Jamaican face, because when you were a minister of education, that would be the time for you to say, "Me come, me see that crack here, but I am not leaving it until I've mended." Instead, Prime Minister, you defended Royal Reid and wrote to JC to say, "Don't fire him. One man I do two job and I get two pay. And minimum wages them can buy food pan where them give them. May God help you know. Because you see God, him not pleasing, because y'all want to take him title. Him not please. And one thing me know about that man there, slow but sure like Herb Nelson.
You got to look at this thing in one light, right? Stealing, malfeasance, the skullduggery that these people are engaged in is paying them off. Yet, and nobody go to jail. Nobody gets investigated by anybody other than the Integrity Commission. And then you turn around and try to neutralize the Integrity Commission. I mean, it's like, you know, we're having kings and queens in a society where there should be none. It should be all about, you know, service to the people. You are in government. You're there to serve the people. And that's not happening. It sure as hell is not happening. So you have the health system gone to hell in a handbasket. You have the education system gone to hell in a handbasket. So what do the people have to look forward to? The dying, or the kids are not learning? The kids graduate and they can't read a lick. All right. And we are still sending money out of the diaspora into a system that is very broken. Now, those people you saw that wanted to rub shoulders and wanted to take photo ops, I'm willing to guarantee you those are the same people who still believe that the JLP is their salvation if they go back home and while they're up here in the US, right? It's not working. And you can't tell them it's not working. Because these people are sick in their heads. I don't know what it is that they believe that caused them to turn their back on the fellow Jamaicans like the way they have.
And not only that, Herb, Mr. Nelson, they have turned their back on the piece of rock. The rock, I always say, we come here by labor pain, not by aeroplane. And majority of Jamaicans in the diaspora, and I will not apologize to neither he, she, nor the old lady, have sold out the Jamaican people, have sold out Jamaica, all because of the People's National Party and the Jamaica Labour Party. I want you all to listen to this video.
That is the difference between them and us.
Few will continue to plunder poor people's money because we will have to continue to live with the rampant corruption that has characterized this government, of which the Prime Minister has been a part from beginning till now.
You hear that?
Bluetooth connected.
Did you all hear that, Luke?
No, it cut off. It stopped.
Hold on there. Let me go back and make them listen to it. It wasn't me who said these words. And somebody made a video and was showing the people who is alleged have had their hand in the public kitty. This is a country. They're going to live and work and raise family.
That is the difference between them and us.
Few will continue to plunder poor people's money because we will have to continue to live with the rampant corruption that has characterized this government, of which the Prime Minister has been a part from beginning till now.
You ever hear the saying, say, cock, mouth, kill cock?
Boy.
Former Prime Minister running in was speaking about Portia Simpson Miller. Now somebody turn it around and he's speaking about his government. His government. The Jamaican people gonna continue to live in the rampant corruption which the Prime Minister has been a part of from beginning to end. This is the country. This is the country. And members of the diaspora is hugging up. And by the way, the Consul General in New York, you have some answering to do. I'm not ready for you yet. I'm going to talk to you, Herb and Luke. Don't ready for you yet. I got a call pertaining to certain things. Don't ready for you yet. The people of our country is being sold out bit by bit by these politicians and these so-called members of the Jamaican diaspora. And I am making no apology to nobody. But the truth is the truth. It's a time for us to speak about the Jamaican diaspora. They're political. The PNP in power, they swing to the PNP. The JLP in power, they swing to the JLP. They are not neutral. They are not neutral. They are part and hugging up the corruption of this government.
Yeah. And the fact of the matter, Jeffrey, I just glanced in your chat room and I saw somebody said that they're praying for me. Thank you for the prayers. It moves mountain, and I see somebody say, "Are you big enough?" Mayor Motley. Look, while I agree with her in terms of the issues, I have no respect for the Caribbean leadership except for Raul Gonzalez, and I can name one other person right now because the CARICOM has failed the Caribbean people. Norman Manley's vision of CARICOM would have that we would have moved from
You mean Michael
government to,
Manley?
no, Norman wanted the federal government, and Buster went out and tell people that, you know what federal government mean? I buy a cow, when the cow is sold, everybody get a piece out of it. And to large extent, that is what politics is about. It's always about misrepresenting the truth when you know that the people do not have means of checking the facts. There are things that are being done in the name of the Jamaican people that has never benefited the Jamaican people. Herb Nelson, we were never courageous when Shaggy was being asked to turn over the money, but had the tenacity to say to the Minister of Health, go to hell. I raised that money and I will do what I have committed to do. If you give me the equipment that the hospital need, I will make sure that my children and the Jamaican children have the same equipment. I'm not giving me the hard-earned money of people and the entertainers who gave up their time and come here to raise money for the only children's hospital in the eastern speaking Caribbean.
And not only that,
hold on.
we must
for
make
you.
it known. We must make it known to the people of the diaspora and the Jamaican people that this Andrew Holness-led administration, along with the so-called Governor General of Jamaica, they are the one who literally stopped the Shaggy and Friends show. They're the one literally stop it.
And put the Governor General who wanted to charge the man for have the patron parking up there before him devote a portion of his salary to go better KPH. They painted the front of KPH Herb Nelson when the prince come here. It is the double standard that is killing what I and other people are trying to do at the community level, you know. Because Herb, we keep on every time we go, it's like we make one step forward and 7 steps backward when them say, Mr. Wheatley go with the money. And down at the place there, sir. Who for woman down there, sir? Who have woman in a parliament? Who I get PR from this? The man a man to go be him disappear. How much the police them get out of it? You see what? The picture that we have created for them is that the justice is only when them come in a Tivoli and soldier shoot the man because the man say, you're disrespecting me. And it's because I'm not a valuable Jamaican. Why you're doing that? Because you wouldn't go up on Ambrook and do that. Andrew Holness' sons will never suffer like a Vera Price son. They in this country, they are going to be the sons of the great Dalvi emperor. That is what we have created in 61 years. A greater sea of inequality. So in the animal farm where it says, some all are born, and you hear the pig say, yeah, but some are more than equal than others. It is the truth. It is the truth. You talk about your public official, Jeffrey, and them come dig you out from underneath your bed. But nobody not dig out nobody for you saying more money. And that is how young people are seeing it. The millennium, them a vibes cartel, a feed them government. A feed them government that. And when you hold a conversation with them, as dunce as we want to talk about them, and that is what you must understand. There is learned education and there is the common sense that people have that makes them exceptional. And when you hear the reasoning, Jeffrey Tavares, keep a town hall with youths from 4 inner city community, and you will get a sense of as to why they are anti-government. The age of 15 to 18 is not interested in voting. They only take the voter's ID because it is an authentic piece of ID. We have not inspired people to get involved. The only time in this country we inspire people around a common vision was when Michael Manley created the National Labor Day Project, the first one where it tells us, oh, you all can clean up your place and make it spiffy. And people came around that. We have a vision 2030. Ask me nephew where I go high school what that is. And he must say, uncle, I don't know that. Ask him what Vibes Cartel say. The next time I'm hungry, una go see me 9. And him Herb, in my recovery process, I was outside. Bounty Killer, thank you for the correction. See it there? The younger youth, them I tell Mr. Me not even know the DJ. I was standing outside. I went to do a little walk because exercise is encouraged. And I see this little girl I sing. But me know I've heard the song, you know, Jeffrey. Me know me hear the song, but I didn't know what the words are. I've heard the music, but I didn't know what the words are the song. So when she was coming towards me, she was saying, hey, move out my way. And I thought she was talking to me. So I stopped and I said, no, are you talking to me? And she said to me, no, a valiant song me a sing. Hey, move out my way. Me a mad somebody. I'm mad. Me a mad out. And then I stopped and I said, oh, how old are you? She said 10. And I said, what would I mad out? She said, no, me. And my mother around there said, cuss me. And I don't know what she cuss me for. Because she said, back to school I come and she don't start by yet. And she don't have no money. And she take it out for me. So me I sing valiant song for make sure know say me a mad somebody. And while I find that humorous,
Jesus.
I also had to step back and said, imagine even the baby and suckling, it affect. Right? Today I was talking to a 20. What doctor age was Simone 20, 27. And she said, I regret being an adult in this country. It's too
Jesus.
pressuring. I regret, she said, had I known that I would have to be dealing with so much, a job that takes out so much of my time. I don't know if I'll ever be able to move out of my parents' house because of the cost of house. One cub Herb Nelson is $1 million Jamaican dollar them a charge you for it. And Andrew Holness and his bandit of despot said them a do the best for we. We owe. We owe. Right now, right now, me have to choose between paying for a surgery or taking down a section of my mother's house that is termite infested. And my mother is on oxygen for the rest of her life. She can't be around smoke, or the area that she has to be in has to be sterile because they mess up our restorative system with the medication that they were giving her. And we can't charge for medical malpractice. Because my mother just believes that she needs to forgive people. My niece went to the children's hospital and is living with a scar because a baby went in there at the age of 7 and came out with the scar of her life. And Lieutenant Colonel Oscar Darby can tell you how they chased us out of there when we had to be talking about using 2 different chemicals in a ward where you're treating children so young. I sat across from where my niece was on bed 1 and watched a woman in pink and white at the Bustamante Children's Hospital assaulted a disabled child who turned over tea on her, boxed him 2 times. And when me shout out the nurse and order the security for put me out, and I spoke to Miss Golden at Southeast Region, and to this day I have not been given a hearing. So how not gonna reassure or confidence in our people? We have to fight in lines to get our birth certificate, and sometimes when we do get them, thank God them a give free birth paper now. You know Jamaican do have a birth paper? Can't afford it. So them can't get a TRN.
We have a fight in line and stand in the sun.
Eh? And I watch Jeffrey. I watch a woman who has been a diehard supporter of the Jamaica Labour Party who moved people from Kingston and carried them to the farthest corner of the country, suffering, and had to say to me this week, I better should choose Christianity over her political party. And there are PMP who are likewise doing that. I see people dead in Jamaica and can't bury in 7 months. There is a man at Miss Barrow's funeral home who has been there now for 7 months and can't bury. And you come talk about we are a prosperous country with low unemployment when we can't even fight liquor crime. You're stuck every time you got a station, the Jeep not working. Herb.
They're pushing vehicles on the road. They poor maintenance, right? No, not enough equipment, right? Or poor equipment. I mean,
the gun where them have herb, and the gun when them going to.
You there, Jeffrey?
Jeffrey.
Yes, what are you saying?
No, that's the fire truck one.
Yes,
Uh,
I'm trying to find the police one.
the police one, them have the car. Yeah.
Jesus
But,
Christ, Almighty
but
God.
look, and they still don't get the full reimbursement for the police vehicles that they bought. Was it close to 6-7 years ago, right? From O'Brien. They have not declared that they get a full reimbursement. There is something wrong with the management and the leadership of our security forces. And nobody is taking accountability of the people who are in charge and getting things so wrong. Something has to change, right? Something must change. You know, no accountability, no transparency, just corruption. And we have to show our people more respect than we have.
But gentlemen, if we, the people, who have the powers in our hands, a Luke George, a Herb Nelson, a Wilfred Rattigan, a Jeffrey Tavares, a Andre Stevenson, or Wayne Lonesome, get up every day and we speak. When are our people going to stand up and rally around a single cause and a single purpose in this country? When?
How does a hungry belly man stand up? How a man will go pick Aki, pan governor general. You see, if you're not, you see, if you not, let me tell you something. I say, if anything happen to me and your herb can afford me the best defense down here, but done with it, you know. Because, let me tell you, you know, I'm money talking and the best liar can go talk. Because them no want no truth tellers in this, you know. People feel powerless, and that is why them need for see people like on rally against them. That is why they're waiting to see what will happen in a Wilfred Rattigan matter against you have to give the people some win, you know, Jeffrey, to sort of crank them up, you know. Because right now, you know, everybody who has gone up against government have been defeated. Is either you know, remember the artist, the entertainer who did video himself being battered by the police, and as him forgot court, the man end up dead. Case closed. While Maitland, who is named in the killing of the influencer girl, have lawyered up. So, in other words, when we talk about people for fight, you have to understand again, Jeffrey, that God forbid, Mr. Holness can be so upset tonight with me, and him said to him, call downstairs and say, find a boy for me. And tomorrow all you hear is that I'm gone. A few people, my family hate the fact that I'm on these things. Them beg me not for come on. But I feel that me no know matter. Me no know saint. Because maybe all when me dead, not even a soul will remember me. But the fact of the matter is that we cannot remain quiet when we see injustice. And like Lewis, me have to stir up some good trouble. Prime Minister, if I lie, me I tell Payo, kill my maga cow. You're not serving the Jamaican people. PJ Patterson was the worst thing for the PMP. He saw to the transfer of the wealth from the poor to the rich. And it has continued. Because when he leave, he makes sure the pension for Prime Minister was better than when he took office. When he was leaving, Michael Manley anointed him, he left the PMP in a chaos. Bruce Golding came and what seemed to be the hope of Jamaica Labour Party. Somebody who spoke about term limit, constitution reform, reforming and putting together a proper crime plan. Now, look, we have to say we are on the back of it. You have a bright man like Herb Nelson. And yet still him not depend no committee down here because them don't want Herb to come declare and show them say Uno are the problem. The lawmakers are the lawbreakers. Brethren, if you get Herb Nelson, a Jeffrey Tavares, a Rattigan, and Lonesome come down here and them go give you an oversight of a committee to deal with national security and a security plan. I want to start to look on the leadership tier. There is a struggle in the police force because too much labor right and PMP in there. And you must remember that the police force was started in 1938 on the premise that if me never like Jeffrey, me I go join, come me I go beat the life out of you. Come me a policeman. And no care always say it not for name police force, but it must name the Jamaica Public Service. Well, not the same one like JPS. But something that means that I serve the people. Eh? Ruan James that you know making up the story say, you see the man with paraphernalia. Jeffrey Tavares is just like the woman who saw me the other day and said, oh, you do a run for Senate seat in a Jamaica Labour Party.
Hello. Hold on there.
I chew them no gear. Everybody will stand up for this country. You find things to talk about them. And me have to say to her, sir, Jeffrey and me are almost the same age. I could in a Buster days him go for that. Him certainly never did because Sangster never served long enough. You Shearers never served long enough. And then him would have to come round edit time and him too vocal for being an edit because I one Dan gang that. So I would have Andrew or Bruce. I wish one of them never gave. So that is the problem with us. Instead of you respect Jeffrey and you got to talk and Luke George, you know, so many people look up to you because you're such a bright, intelligent. Miss, I'm not so bright, you know. Cause you never see when me take off my skull. Me don't even want you to talk back to me. For tell you the truth, cause you are predicated mix up. I'm gonna depend that with you. We are not paid people to speak. We are not PMP. We're Jamaican who don't see green or orange. We're just Jamaican and we love. This is the place where I want to raise family, do my business, eat a food, don't come check me when they come steam two fish and some crackers and give. And all you can do is now tarnish Jeffrey Tavares. And you don't know it to be true. And when she tell me, you know, she know you're from Wapia Kill fellow.
Me.
And I just have to say to her, I say, why are you doing this? Why are you having a verbal diarrhea session with me? Don't come to me with that. I use a few choice words that I can't use over the ear, but don't come to me with that. And I must be careful. Be careful of what? Right now, I can't just be down a Coronation Market and a man come for slap with a man and me dead. Me there a KPH and them a fire shot and we have to take ground. So which part of Jamaica safe, lady? Where is safe? And you know, going back to the people with the same lies to win another election. So now you hear what them say? Local and general might call one time because Andrew no want call the local for test for see if people now go vote for him. Whether Mark Golden don't have nothing for say. Can we survive? You don't call a diplomatic row. You say that you're having a quiet discussion with the Americans, and the Americans need to help us. Them need to identify the sixth despot. Them need to find if there is such a holding company in the in St. Lucia. And the St. Lucian, you see, because the whole of them in a government in the Caribbean is a center bunch of foul house. The St. Lucians won't come out and say, yes, you come here and thief people them money. Because we always have to remember Papa Ducks and Baby Ducks. All the leaders in the Caribbean, except for a few, have fed like vultures on the people of their country, delivering very little promise. Me now big up Miss Lady Down there. So everybody knows that Miss Lady Down there is a big dictator. She now come out of power for now. Me only like her views on global warming and the economy. That we don't have a level playing field, sir. Me not big up no government people because I've yet to see a politician that I can, except for Burchell, white man, and Johnson, meek father, that I can say those two people are very good statesmen. And Burchell, white man. Mm-hmm. And to his credit, to Arnold Bertram, those people were incredibly good statesmen. And on the JLP side, Dr. Kenny Bar was an angel compared to
Oh,
them
yes.
Alibaba and them 40 thief, yeah.
Hmm.
And yet still are not them people that Jamaica got one for vote for now. Oh, Dr. Bar wasn't charismatic enough. Uno want charisma that take where everything from uno instead of leaders with integrity. Men and women who put country above self. So while they, if them want to go vote, Jeffrey, make them continue to ask Barabbas. We they are educate them. I have done my part. I leave it up to you to think on these things, because in the eyes of the world, when you watch all the NC, when you watch NBC, a report on Usain money thief, and you have a prime minister in a country who don't think him need to go do damage control and make Usain get back him money and really come tell us what in there. They were told at SSL that there were trouble and that they needed to stem it. Government pull out the money the other investors got knocked. And one girl, Jeffrey Tavares, is being said to be the culprit, the crime boss. No, a peer than and dictator around this country. When I wrote a report in another space, in a government agency, where me see no give money to a government minister at the time, and I said to him, say, it did not warrant it because you were doing it at the expense of damaging another program that we were working on that has heed and demonstrated that it had the capacity to really provide a way out for suffering youth. And when I said that the minister program is not as stable as it is, how are you going to have children who have never been reading from the time that they were supposed to be stimulated to read in 3 weeks? It was virtually impossible. And I have not seen any curriculum that show me that you can help children to speed read, except when I asked around, I heard that the Abaca theory that was being taught by Emmanuel Academy had the potential to get children reading in 12 weeks, and that they would be able to read competently in 18 months. The man who is now dead of that company tell me to take it out of the report that went before the World Bank. And when I said to him, say, Jaja, Baba, me nah take it out. Him say, I go and have your head pan a chopping block. Me go a planning institute for get a job. Interview for the job. Was the best candidate. The same man go over planning institute and say him can't get no job yet, so. So when you not play with them team, when you not play the full deck of card with them blacklist you. They blacklist you.
So that is why this woman now, along with the Labour Party, want to blacklist Jeffrey Tavares, how I wanted Senate seat.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want Senate seat with our liar self. And I ask her, give me the empirical evidence. Yes. So we, Herb Nelson, all of them now say, oh, we are just a pitiful set of losers who use this time because we don't have anything else to do. I lie them I tell. Me anybody can come check me now and me show you how much people I beg like help with them business. Who for book list me have. How many people I beg money for. I have a mental health patient who I get $60,000 out of $1 million. Me can show you empirical evidence. And when me write to the Ministry of Labour and me write to Compassionate Grant, me I track it down. A lady for do a hip replacement, $974,000. Little bit of $1 million up a CMUC. And me have to ask the CEO to help her out. Because she used to be an earner in this country who is now living the worst of her life, she says. The other day I had to, we have to be watching a primary school teacher who tried to take his life because between the payment between Michael and the other things them when him take out while he might try to complete a master's, it got to him. And the fact that he comes from a very poor family who depend on him. And when he saw that the stress was too high, he thought that the only way out was to take his life. Nobody can come tell me about. Yeah, there's a crack in the system, but the politicians, church leaders, private sector leader, civil society, they have done a shameful job in fighting for the Jamaican people to include themselves. And the worst part of it, you see Rosalie Hamilton with this Umbutu theory, I am because you are. Some people just talk, but the actions to support it. And when me earlier a man like Brian O'Brien Chang, financial analyst, I say, well, we get politician and where we get high court judge in this country. That's no money. That's no money. Herb Nelson, go look on the job description where them write for politician. The dunces of person can carry out those. Not in there that is strenuous. That requires that you must go think, you must absorb, and you must come up with something. You know, I'm not in there that's called the 5-year community development plan. And you must show that it is a plan that comes from the various stakeholders in your community. The young, the middle-aged, the old, the fragile, the institutions that are close to you. Not like that in it. You just get a boy a break. You must write better plan to get the money from CDF. What CDF money can do for our constituency, Herb? So at the community level, Herb, not even the community security group them are work anymore. Because people just tired of government. Because you start them, but you don't support them. You don't support them. And what me for do? For go throw dues to security, community security sitting where me can't buy food, me can't buy medication. Eh?
Well, it is incredulous, Luke, that you have all these members of parliament and everything you're saying here this evening, all these shortcomings and shortfalls and short shrift that they give into the Jamaican people. Nobody has taken note in the parliament. Nobody can stand up and speak to these things openly. What is the PNP doing in lieu of the fact that these things exist? There has got to be a way to at least get a newspaper or a community cable programming going that will speak to these things, because these are the things that make or break the community. They can't talk about community development without addressing these things.
Mr. Nelson,
yes,
my program, and I'm sure other programs, but especially my programs, has reached out to the General Secretary of the People's National Party, Dr. Dayton Campbell, to come on my program. He promised me faithfully. He has never come until now. One time the opposition leader ever come on my program. Once. And I've reached out to him on many occasions. Come on the program and let us speak about what is going on in the country. The question they're asking, how much viewers do I have? That's the question they're asking. So they don't think about the people of our country. They don't.
Now go think about them. I think when him go Atlanta and they all them flock to him because God come. Master God come. You see, this is one of the things me have a problem with Mark Golden. And Mark Golden, anybody with up on this program and PMP will know you. I know that me know you too. The problem is Mark Golden don't surround himself with people that have them foot on the ground. I don't know who are his advisors, but the fact of the matter, Mark Golden has become a man unto himself, and therefore that is what people are having a problem with. Him talk good and him talk like him love the poor, but me no want nobody will love the poor. Me want somebody where go and go do something. When Mark Golden came to his current constituency, and he was going around, and I watched that process. I watched the process from a distance, and he had people like Lisa Hannah Ronnie Tweets coming in, and then he says that I wanted to hear from you, and him go around and him have these consultation with people, and him a write up. I have not seen one development plan that come from that. Mr. Golden is one of the weakest opposition leader. He has not cultivated a group of young people around him who can actually sell what the PMP has for the country. Sad to say, we have to pick from one of the two demagogues. We don't have any more than the two Warren tribe because third party in this country, people are just not giving them. The closest a third party come in recent time was the NDM. In olden days, we hope that the Garvey party and even the people them in a Marcus Garvey, una have to shape up on yourself, man. Una always look like the people them at UIC. They una just have some negative view on a carry something that people want. People want solution. And when you not carry on yourself, may I tell you this? This is free advice. You say if you want to win over the Jamaican people, if you can't even speak the Queen English, just make people sell you one good suit of clothes. Because Jamaican people like when you dress up. Them like when they're fooled by dress up people. You know, if you be the brightest, but dress up and can hold a conversation. But Jeffrey, there is no message. Herb, there is no message. Because again, why is it, apart from the fact that you have your family and you have responsibility, modern technology has made it easy. Who has engaged a Herb Nelson, a Curtis Watson, a Jeffrey Tavares about security? Curtis Watt, a security. How you build out and unify the police, the police and the thing. How you do proper profiling. How do you get a proper search warrant executed? Not the ones that you ask JPs to stamp and sign and you use them as you have a mind. So you come in my place and I say, come out of my place, you don't even have a good search warrant. And two, you come back because you have one sign one pan your desk where JP say, okay, I've read, and the police, them never have nobody name at the top. And then you go back and you get one at that time, you come back and you terrorize people. We also have to have a system by which we can stem corruption at the leadership tier of the ministry. For instance, people who are close to politician Herb Nelson were able to go to the firearm license authority and get guns. And these people are known bad players. So you see, Herb Nelson, who get the forward? Bad people get the forward. What and good youth like me and you, people just make up story. Oh, Luke George all thief. Luke George are wicked. Jeffrey wants seed. Herb is a loser. A true PMP refuse. That's all they do. And those narratives go out there, but nobody recognizes that it is the bad people that are getting the forward. The bad people are getting the highlight. And so by doing that, they are displacing us. Paula Llewellyn is the DPP and should never violate the Pension Act. It's a violation of the Pension Act. If you reach retirement age, Jeffrey Tavares, in any modern democracy, as you would like to say, and you can left, and you have how much deputy there, the whole of them are weird, forget big name and big position, and them 5 minutes of fame in there. And you can't left because government feel that you are the best thing since sliced bread. Come on, Miss Llewellyn. You make the people them call you labor right. And it is the same thing that is happening at the poor relief department, that the inspector should be long gone. She's the only inspector, but because people now are saying she is in bed with the Jamaica Labour Party, you're extending her time. And listen to me, this woman don't even have 3 sexy subjects. You're extending her time. So in other words, the young people them were eager for go serve, whether some of them want thief, but not every Jamaica bad Jamaica. But nah, Brad Brush, them can't serve because the lady in the deputy position cannot get the appointment, and it follows that the deputy does become the inspector of poor, can't get the appointment. And all of this is happening. All of this is happening under the whole of government.
But Luke and Herb, it begs to ask the question. Is it that because the 6 parliamentarians are under investigation and the current Minister of
Hello,
Justice,
ladies and gentlemen.
Delroy Chuck, went to the good lady Luluwen, DPP, can't pronounce her bloody name, the DPP, and said to her, listen to me. These are my words. And said to her, listen to me. Certain things coming up, we want you to stay on because X, Q, Y, Z. Do you realize that she has been DPP for 15 livelong years in our country? Has any public official gone to prison? On both sides of the fence.
But I not go to prison. This is the DPP that make current Spencer case had all in it and walk free. This is the BPP that some major cases, the Vive cartel case now, will be getting a review from the Privy Council because they were holding it. So you have take our funds but failed us bitterly, Miss Llewellyn. And sad to say, I don't know the lady, so I don't want to malign her character. But there are those within our own office. And whether or not I agree with what my little Rasta brethren do, I don't even know the man. But sometimes you get to the point where when you're seeing when your constitution has all time people that say herb can't take it, you just tell them some dirty word and tell them how you feel. Because you recognize that the system perpetuates cruelty. It's cruelty. There are people in our office who they say fear her. Because if you are not liked by her, you're not treated well. It is alleged. I don't know. But the mere fact that one went to a public forum and was bigging her up only for years say, boy, your time not come yet, tells me that he might have been saying these things because he really thought you were going and that he would have been able to shine in the spotlight. Why we need to keep, till on have old and bend and have cancer and someone are dead in a parliament? Why can't you just go? Then it tells me, Herb, the honeycomb them where you get must be nicer than the one them where we get, because that's why you're not left the honey. You're not leaving it. And that to me is concretized in my mind how deep the corruption run and why people are in some of the position there. Some of the public sector people, them for lift up. Custom lady, lift up. Post master telecom lift up. RGD, lift up. Police record, them people that forgo it. The man up a passport office and them deputy them needs to go. But we have to live with it. A labor right promote them. And for whatever means, they're living the labor right dreams.
Well,
And
Right?
we have a state-owned company, and like her coming. We have a own state company of the JUTC, where they pump $18 billion a year, or less or more. And who we have in there? The PNP and the JLP compatriots. They have in there. Who they don't have any degree, they don't have any CXC. And they're the one that have in there. And JUTC is a milking cow for both political parties in this country. Herb Nelson?
Look, everything that we've said tonight, it appears that corruption has been the overwhelming influencer with this government and with this opposition, because the opposition is a part of the government. There's no way that you're going to make change until you have people with an interest in our people go in and make those changes. Right now, everybody's along for the ride. For some, it's a free ride. For others, they're just getting from point A to D and hoping that they can hop over on somebody else's back and make it further up the ladder. You have to you have to hold people accountable. You have to challenge folks, and you have to have the law on your side. And hopefully, this is what the legal fund will be doing shortly. In addition to that, hopefully the legal fund will be helping out in situations like Luke George Cook's situation. There is nobody that is asking for free ride. Every time we have an issue in Jamaica that appears up here in the United States, it's because there's somebody who let that issue fall flat in the island, and then they can't help that person any further. And then they call on diaspora, the same diaspora that they're denying that we are not doing enough. Same diaspora they don't want to deal with when it comes to holding a government minister accountable, right? Saying that, oh, you don't live here, so you have no standing in court. If we have no standing in court in Jamaica, why do you ask us to get involved in so many things that involve our funds? Because naturally we want to see our funds spent right and that you do the right things by us. So if we have no standing, then tell us you have no standing and you shouldn't be putting yourself out on a limb because you may lose it all. What is being said here tonight is what's wrong with a system run by people who are corrupt and people who have no conscience. You have too many people in need and not enough people concerned with those needs. And that's wrong. That's just flat out wrong. I don't know how to console Jamaicans who have lost their will to try to succeed or survive. I don't know what I would do if I would be in the situations like Luke and others find themselves. Right? I don't want to say I would steal. I don't want to say I would do anything underhanded to survive. But that's what it comes down to. When you starve people in their homes during COVID-19 and you wanted to gain the votes, you let them out to vote. You didn't arrest them when they came out to vote. You let them out. You made it legal for them to be out. But you starved them prior to that. And then the ones who would have voted against you, you pay them $10,000 to get their votes. But the thing is, you starve them, much like in the old days when Genghis Khan invades some place. To get inside the walls of those cities, he'd starve the people inside there. And then he would use his slings to fire bread and other food items up against the gates. People went crazy. They had to open the gates to get the food to eat. And then the marauders would then ride in and kill all the male folks, kill all the opposition. Is this what we're doing to our folks in Jamaica? We're starving them. So the next time you want the vote, you're gonna go there, and all the monies that coming up short on different projects is the monies that will appear to pay them off for their vote. I don't know.
You know something? We're gonna close off now. I'm gonna allow you to finish, but what just a chain of thought just came to me a while ago. That what we need to do in the diaspora is to get some money. I wish to God the Wilfred Radigan Fund was up, where we could get some money and ask Dan Anderson to do a poll of how many Jamaicans are really employed. Because I do not believe one thing Statin put out. From I was growing up in Jamaica, I've always said this, as Statin is being bought out by the political parties. They're not speaking the truth.
Spineless jellyfish.
Yeah.
I wish I had the money to call our good friend Dan Anderson and to do a poll
Two
to
poll.
prove to the
What is
Jamaican people.
two poll you have to do? What is the effect of the diaspora on the Jamaican society?
There you
And
go.
what is three poll? What was the reason? How many people saw census takers and come on them yard? Cause them cook the figure already. So then we'll never be able to meet the need of the Jamaican people. But I want to tell you something, Herb Nelson. Dealer, let me answer you. Yeah, you're right by the question you asked. Me agree with you. Who can stand run? Who them beat we up enough and make them starve we, like Herb just gave you the analogy. We sometimes lose our sense of justice, natural justice, and join them because them will starve you. Them starve me, but I chew me clever while I survive. And I tell you, you know, when me tell you say me that work in a community, me make sure say me was honest to people. Me try for me always do my best to respect them. Right now, sometime a day, and a man just called me and say, "I send a bag and a truck from St. Elizabeth with some yam. Come give me for eat." Because people just tend to label me that I'm just not a team player, and I'm happy about that. But I know Jeffrey closing. A youth when me know Jeffrey has been in lockup. He has been in lockup for about 4 months now and was said to have been identified in St. Mary and a murder.
I
And the
remember that
man
case.
and the man can prove, say, at the time that the person was being murdered, he was at a bank at downtown Kingston. He still has the withdrawal slip. He showed it to the police. And a $1 million, the big liar them take for murder. So how does an ordinary Jamaican Herb defend themselves against an corrupt, unjust system if you don't have $1 million? He's still in lockup. I hear the judge just order the police them if you not come back here and don't get the footage. And you know what I fear, Jeffrey? The police deliberately did not go and get the footage
Who
because
did not?
in my mind it just have bother me and me I pray to God say no so that by the time them go them are gonna say, oh, we only have one of them systems that will keep the footage for 7 days. So we don't have that footage anymore. So the receipt on its own will no longer have a validity. And an innocent man will go to jail, notwithstanding the brand name lawyer them have. Because some of them just have name. And some of them just know how to beat the system. And they are the another set of despots who are enjoying the ill gains from criminals. Them lawyer them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
I pray to God, Herb Nelson, the day will never come when I will have to go into a Jamaican lockup. Me I tell you that, Herb Nelson, because let me tell you, it not pretty. It not pretty. It not pretty. When me hear people used to say to be poor is a crime, me used to kiss my teeth and say, oh, just cliche. But to be poor is a death sentence.
Yep.
So Nelson, you have 2 minutes of wrap up. Your final words.
Yeah, I don't think I need 2 minutes because we clearly see what's ahead, right?
Yes.
We clearly can see the storm clouds that are formed, and we know who's forming them. We know it's all obfuscations, a cover up of the things that they're failing to do and the lack of accountability. They think we can't see and we don't know, but we do know and we do see, right? We've been asking for accountability for the longest while. The money for COVID, the various monies sent to them by whether it's the vice president of the US or the foreign minister from England, brought all that money down there and they designated to help the youth. So you can tell me, Luke, where did all that money go? What youth project is it involved with? It sure as hell is not the latest program they come up with.
Look here.
Star, because they claim it's PSOJ funding that.
Look here. Keith Duncan, Keith, respect. Project Star, me not burn no fire for uno. Everybody forward. Me love the team. Everybody forward. But why were you funding Miss Johnson in her bid when people are dead for hungry? We got hospital. Mr. Duncan, me not believe in our you know. On a false prophet. I'm gonna tell you, before Project Star, I want you to go back to a program where Maureen Webber did a run name youth. Millions of dollars was spent. Sandra Glasgow and the whole of them near me off in a consultancy. So me no want nobody come tell me about no. You see, if it's not an initiative that is being driven by people, brother, I'm not depend it with you. That's why I have a brother named Philip. And Philip was in a meeting with her. And when me look, me say, me nah go to Potiphar. Me nah go in a Potiphar house. Me no want to have no meeting with them. Because you see when them beg herb, when the Keith Duncan them beg, they are the paragon of virtue. Them not thief, you know. Some people come tell you, oh, them soliciting donation for you. But because some people muddy the water, listen, how do I know that you soliciting you're not a thief? We must stop this. Black people stop it. If Luke George thief it, he might gonna get cancer and he might go dead. God not like ugly. Worse when it come to the poor because he made in the beatitude him said the kingdom belongs to them. A poor people, he might get the kingdom too. And him said the meek will inherit the earth. So if you're not even get your blessing up here when them bury you 6'6", I hear one that. But the fact of the matter is that when Camilla gave that money to Oldness, nobody in Jamaica can tell me where that money they go. You know how long me ask people who work at PIOJ where the money go? Because there is no accountability and because you don't have the watchdog groups now that have any amount of fortitude of testicular for stand up to them because everybody want in a bed with the government, you know, because them no want starve herb, them no want lock them gate and them have to slingshot the food for when them come on. So everybody, oh, and then what you're going to hear because when the money done, you're going to hear say, this project was funded by it, that project was funded by it. Ask for the monitor and evaluation of the program to see how the money was spent. Young people are still frustrated. They are still disenfranchised. And they believe that none of the two political parties has done anything for them. But again, Herb Nelson, when me and you meet, me I go answer you that question there because me I go call the office of the Prime Minister and say the specific money that was given by, could you say where it was because remember them have what is called red light communities, Herb, where them say these are the pocket of, and under there was a project coming out of the Planning Institute where these red light districts were now earmarked to get some social intervention. And most of the time, the interventions are usually factored. There was one that I was privy to, and I can send you the document from Planning Institute that was put up by a consulting firm called Brock. No remember what the acronym was for. But the truth of the matter, one of the woman where the Pambrook worked with me at another place, and most of what me say was a derivative from what we did at that place. The derive, it was just a copy document with the derivative that you derive it. But the truth of the matter, to be told, when me tell you that the intervention herb must take into account creating space in other places for these young people so that they are away from the negative environment, bringing along the law enforcement, the hopefully we can find some good pastor, the psychologist, psychiatrist, the social worker, and everybody does an assessment of the candidates, and we come up with something with the person as to what that intervention can be, and so start to help them to develop the self-esteem and the self-motivation that they don't have to see themselves falling in a life of crime. If we have descended to the place where we want to charge women who degrade themselves and go out there and take the risk, look at the STIs, the STDs that are out there, the fact that them leave and might never go back home. One go sleep with a man one time and rob the man, and the man go look for her and cut out her vagina and her belly. Women are in a vulnerable position. And then you have some woman in a Jamaica, big and serious. You are a malignant cancer on other women in this country. They're setting up women to be sexually assaulted. And no doubt, Herb, now that the drug traders sort of command some level uh, 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 of damping them stamping out that you see people are moved to more vicious things like human trafficking and organ harvesting, which are some of the most heinous things that you can do to any human being. You take a girl and tell her, say, you're going to get her work, and when she wake up, you have video of her doing so much things with her body part, and you're doing it with boys too. Because while we like to talk about we're not a homophobic country, we like to tell lie, and when me hear people talk about we are a Christian country, no, we are like the people in Sodom and Gomorrah. We're too wicked. We are wicked, right? So
On that note,
uh, the intervention has to be more than what they have done, and there must be a tracker. We have to get Jeanette Calder for we track the money where we come from foreign. We have to track it and give an account for it, because let me tell you, the people in America like yourself and Jeffrey and the listeners upon this here program, yeah, maximum respect to owner, because some of owner do 2 and 3 and 4 job. I spend 12 hours. So when you no send $1 out here, I know because you rich, I know because you the Ramanant, and because you love on people, and I we want vote for. Not the one them we want the 5 minutes of fame because Prime Minister come. Burn that man. Time for talk the truth. It's the leaders of this country that have led us down the bitter pathway. Them are some bitter gall, and the people must stand up. Let's forget the PMP. Let's forget our JLP association. Let's get together and work for the betterment of this little piece of rock here. Because it have a whole heap of promise. Whole heap of promise.
Amen,
thank
brother.
you very much. You want to say something, Herb?
No, I just said amen to that.
Yes. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Send out this link to everyone and ask them to subscribe to this channel, please. Like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel, a channel that bring the truth. And for all those out there who believe that I didn't get a Senate seat in the Labour Party, I was never a member of any political party, nor do I want to be a member of any political party. I am one of the Tavareses who don't mince word. I will not disrespect my family name, nor my family members. But they know the type of person I am. Will never, ever bow to any political party in this country. None whatsoever. I will continue to speak the truth and nothing but the truth. And I will continue to speak out for the people of this country, whether they are PNP or JLP.
We never
Along with
ban
Herb
so.
Nelson Jr. Where's Luke?
We never ban PMP and JLP. I lie them I tell. Burn that
There
lie.
you go. I will continue to speak the truth and speak out for Jamaicans with Herb Nelson Jr., Luke George Cook, Wilfred Radigan, and all the others. And Wayne Lonesome and Andre Stevenson. Jamaica must change. And the change that we seek in this country will never come from the two political parties. It has to come from us as a people. This is where I say so long. Until you hear my voice again. May God bless you and may God bless Jamaica land we love. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Sir Herb and Sir Luke, have a good night. Thank you all for coming on.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Luke,
man.
I'll be in touch, Luke. All right.
All right, Herb.
Good night, everybody.
All right.
When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark a talk and you will see. Conflict solver A to Z. World leaders master the art of self-defense just by talk. So people, make we talk. Hey, we're living in a world that on ourselves we must depend. Make we